You know, we will learn more about the timing and totals for everything going forward here in just a second, but I do want to reflect on how spotty everything has been and why we give you a range of possibilities when it comes to rain and for snow as well. So let's just point out what happened yesterday, for example. This is Donner Summit, right around 7,200 feet, and you can see that snow is falling hard at that location. 500 feet below this, basically getting up to this spot and then down on the other side, it was rain. So it really is elevation dependent in addition to how intense the snow is, as well as the temperatures. So there's a lot of variation. You'll see that for all the ski areas. Some places got 7, some places got 2. You know, roughly at the bottom, a lot of these resorts are at 7,000, 8,000 feet, some of them 6,000 feet, but you could still see a huge variation depending on many other variables going forward. So snow is one of those tricky things that depends on basically everything. The reality is this: what it has done for us is affect the snowpack just a little bit. Everything was pretty bad before this storm, and now it's just slightly better. Well below 50% for the northern Sierra, the central. The southern Sierra is really struggling with both lack of storms and really warm temperatures. And right now we're at a third of where we should be for snow that's on the ground ready to go for water down the road for this time of year. As far as the rain, extremely spotty. We saw Sacramento get a double dose of pounding rain from very convective cells right over town and basically right over the bucket. So Sacramento got more than 2.5 inches during the course of the storm. And right down the road, El Dorado Hills did well, about 1 inch of rain, but far from what we saw in Sacramento because it missed out on some of those singular cells that really just dumped rain. And because of that, you're going to see a huge variation in where we are compared to average. Now, everybody's below. We all understand that. We need many more storms. But as far as rain in the bucket, because remember, these are all singular locations, you could see a huge variety as far as who's doing okay and who needs a lot more work for rain in the bucket. So just to point this out again, as this came together yesterday, huge cell right on top of where one of the official recording locations is for Sacramento, which is in South Sacramento at the Executive Airport right here. It got nailed. And then we have another location that's over here near Sacramento State. Both of those spots just so happened to get rain in the bucket during this during these two cells that moved on through, and they did really well. Everybody else did fine. Now, going forward here, we will continue to see rain and snow move into the area. And I just want to point out, predicting flooding at this scale, because it's so spotty, the flooding potential really is very much neighborhood by neighborhood and parking lot by parking lot, because with this kind of rain, mostly what we're looking at for flooding are drains getting clogged. Leaves, trash, things happen. Things float to the drain. They get stuck on the grate there. You can't drain. You get flooding. Predicting something like this is just nearly impossible, but in your local neighborhood, know where the drains are. All you got to do is clear it. You're good. As far as too much at once, sometimes with some of these cells, we get really heavy rain over hours and hours, and that can overwhelm the system. Even if everything's flowing fine, it can get backed up at spots. We've seen some of this with sustained heavier rain, both along the coast today and also in some spots last night as well. And then the kind of flooding that is much more easy to predict is much more large scale. We're talking about days and days of rain that really floods a whole system, creeks and streams at first, and then the bigger bodies of water like rivers and reservoirs as well. Now, going forward for the rest of today, this is where I would look for not only localized street and urban flooding and parking lot flooding, but again, overwhelming the system in some of those spots because it's going to be basically all-day rain along the coast. And then for Sacramento, Stockton, and Modesto, we'll get some spotty rain, so just some localized stuff, and then we're going to wrap this storm up. 3 days in a row with rain and eventual snow. We hit a clearing stage by Thursday that goes all the way through Christmas Day, which is on Monday. The day afterward, a new system comes in, and then we're looking at least a couple days of rain afterward.